The dumbest school rules ever. This one elementary school had a rule where a student, if they were feeling sick, would not be able to go home or call their parents unless they had a fever or puked. Well, one day this kid's stomach was super messed up. He wasn't feeling good at all. Miss, can I go to the nurse's office, please? Ow. So he goes to the nurse's office. So it's a stomach ache, huh? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it hurts so bad. Well, you don't have a fever and you didn't throw up, and you can't stay here. I have to send you back to class. I'm sorry. Are you serious? Yeah, you know the rules. Well, this made him super mad because his stomach was actually hurting pretty bad. So he stared at her, and with incredible focus and pure dedication, he somehow managed to get himself to throw up right on the nurse. Can I go home now? The school changed that rule shortly after that. When this kid was in 4th grade, his glasses broke. Oh man. But it didn't really matter because in most of his classes he sat in the front row, so he could still see. Well, after a few days of going to class without his glasses, one of his teachers said, "Kyle, I see you still don't have your glasses. Are they still broken?" "Yeah, but it's fine. I can still see the board." The thing with this teacher though was that she would always write assignments on the board for students to work on during class. She would never explain the assignments. Students would just read the board and then do their work. But anyway, she said, "Kyle, it's been 4 days now. Your parents should have gotten you new glasses at this point. You're sitting in the back of the class." Okay. All right, so this is what needs to be done before the end of class, okay? Get to work. Oh, I can't see it. What the heck? Sit down, Kyle. Hey, Stacy, can you tell me what the board says? Yeah, it says, Stacy, don't you dare tell him what it says. I'm teaching him a frickin' lesson. I hate my life. When this kid was in 6th grade, he asked his teachers if he could get paid to clean up gum from under desks and chairs. They said sure. So he was getting paid $5 every time he cleaned up gum. Well, the principal found out about this and asked him if he could clean up the gum from under the tables in the lunchroom. He said sure. It was a nice little side hustle, but then he had a brilliant idea. He was gonna start selling gum. So he started buying these packs. This one's only $5 from Target. It's 8 packs with 15 pieces of gum in each pack. That's 120 pieces of gum, and he sold each piece of gum for 50 cents. He was making $60 after selling one whole thing of gum. But here's the kicker. Every time he sold somebody a piece of gum, he asked them when they were done with the gum if they could put it underneath desks or the lunchroom tables. So he would have to clean up the gum more often and make even more money. This kid's always the first one on the bus every single day, and he'd walk in and he would go directly to the back right bus seat. And he would do this because about 15 minutes into the route, there was this bump in the road that the bus would hit every day. And if you were in that back seat, it would launch you up, and it was awesome. And the driver knows this, so he would hit that bump at full speed. It's coming, here it is. Well, he experienced it a bunch, and then he had a brilliant idea. Every day, people ask, "Hey man, can I try that seat today? Bro, let me try that seat today, please." And when people ask, he starts saying, "Well, what do you got?" One kid pulled out a Twinkie. "All right, deal, have a seat." The next day, someone else says, "I'll give you $2 for the seat today." Anyone got something better? I got Sour Patch Kid watermelons. Deal. He's auctioning off that seat every single morning. People are offering Doritos, money, their lunch desserts, their entire lunch. Whoever wins gets the launch, and the whole bus always counts down right before it's gonna happen. All right, you ready, Kevin? Yeah, I'm ready. 3, 2, 1. Oh, nice. And that, my friends, is awesome. When this kid was in 6th grade, he had a 3D printer. Well, he had always tried to figure out a way to make money off of the things that he 3D printed. And then one day at school, he realized that tons of kids wore Crocs. So he had an idea, a Croc charm in the shape of Dwayne the Croc Johnson. He first made a few for his friends, and they loved it. And when other kids saw his friends wearing this charm, they wanted some too. So he made tons of them, and he began selling them for $3 each. He was making crazy profit because it didn't cost him a lot of money to make at all. Business was absolutely booming, but he began having trouble keeping up with the demand, so he hired a few of his friends to help him do the selling. Well, one day when he was sitting in social studies class, the principal came in and asked to talk to him in the hallway. He was very nervous because he thought he was going to get shut down, but all the principal said was, "So I heard you're selling Croc attachments in the shape of the Rock. That's pretty interesting, and I was wondering if I could buy one." Gotta respect the hustle. When this kid was in middle school, he bought a shoe customization kit, and he was skilled enough to design stuff like this on people's shoes. Well, he decided to start a business. He charged kids $10 for him to customize their shoes. But more and more people started getting interested in this, and business started booming. So he raised his price to $50 per customization. Things were going great, and he was running this business for 3 months, until one day the vice principal walked in on him in the bathroom designing some shoes. The vice principal saw him and told him that he had to ask the principal if he could continue. Well, the principal said, yeah, for sure, keep going. And he did. He continued this business for 7 months. But then one day, a school board official was visiting the school, and the school board official caught him in the bathroom as well. He was then shut down completely. In total, he made about $11,000. That's insane. Every day in elementary school, this kid sat right by the vending machines, and the vending machines sold Snapple, and everyone loved Snapple. The Snapple was sold for 75 cents, but whenever people bought it, they would just put $1 in and get their quarter back. That's when he got this idea. What he began doing was he would take a big wad of napkins with a tiny string attached, and he would shove it in the part of the vending machine where the change comes out. So whenever kids go and buy their Snapple with their $1, they would not get that quarter. And because it's just a quarter, the kids are like, oh well, at least I have my Snapple. After lunch is when he would go to the vending machine, pull the little string with the napkin attached, and collect all the quarters that were stuck up there. He was getting like $10 a day, which isn't crazy money, but what's brilliant is how he got the money. You gotta respect the hustle. One day, this kid came to middle school with pink eye. He didn't really tell anybody about it, because if the school knew he had pink eye, they would make him stay home. Well, this was right around the time where classes were having some of their biggest tests of the year, and students were getting stressed out. Oh, dude, I couldn't study at all this week. I'm gonna fail this test. Like, it's bad. I tried my best. Hopefully I passed, but you know. What's wrong with your eye, dude? I have pink eye. Oh my god, you have pink eye? Why are you here? Because they're serving chicken nuggets at lunch today. I can't miss that. Dude, if you give me pink eye right now, I'll have it by tomorrow and I won't be able to take the test. Gives me more time. Dude, alright, $10. Okay, here. Alright, you ready? Go for it. Okay. Well, word spread, and that day, this dude made $350. The school got pretty suspicious why tons and tons of students had pink eye at the same time. They couldn't really pin it on anybody. And it was a win-win. This kid made some good money, and tons of students were able to pass their tests because they had more time to study. It's 7th grade, and this kid Lucas brings a bunch of Costco gum to school. Tons of packs. Every single flavor. And he never made a big deal about it, but he would pull them out here and there so that people could see. And naturally, they would ask for a piece of gum. And when they did, 50 cents. Oh, I don't have any money right now. Oh, that's fine. Pay me later. And that was his thing. You know, at first, people were like, he's not gonna ask for that money later, you know? It's just a piece of gum. But that's where they were completely wrong. Because after he would give someone a piece of gum and say, pay me later, he would pull out a tiny notebook and write down the debt in that notebook. Everybody had a tab. Their name, their flavor, and how much they owed. But the thing is, he wanted this debt to grow. He would walk up to them. Hey, so you still owe me from last week, but I just got this crazy new watermelon flavor. You want a piece? I'll just put it on your tab. And he just kept stacking debt on top of debt on top of debt until finally he decided it was time to collect. He goes to the 2 biggest kids in class. Carl? Mordecai? Yeah. I'll give you 10%. Here's the list. Get me my money. And they would go around school with a list. Hey, you got Lucas's money? I'm here to collect. And these kids were big and intimidating, and people did pay him back. Lucas made like $175 before this whole thing was shut down. You gotta respect the hustle, I guess. When this girl was in elementary school, she got in trouble for using a big word. Something upset her in class, and she used the word vexed, which means annoyed, frustrated, worried. Well, the teacher overheard and yelled at her. The teacher said that she should have just used the word angry. Well, her teacher then sent a note to her mom explaining the situation. Her mom marked the teacher's note for errors in red pen and sent it back to her with a note that read, when you can use proper English, you can correct hers. Legendary mom.